welcome. Yeah, it's good to see that there's quite a few people here. So I'm Keith Ford. I'm president of SCFT.
I'm Bernadette Moordigian. I'm the vice president of Adjunct Affairs district-wide. So that's for all of our part-timers.
Yeah.
I teach psychology for the past 10 years here at Fresno City College.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I teach English and humanities.
We always forget our other.
I know, we always forget that part. So this was going to be the walk through the contract. We're going to be doing the Reader's Digest version of that so that we can talk about where we've been in the last year with very steady, very successful, in my opinion, very successful advocacy, and where we're going from here. So last year we did From Hiding to Fighting Flex. I want to revisit that and just where are we headed next? So there we are, right? They did action shots, or not action shots. They did like the formal portraits of us, which are really professional and nice. And I don't know. I like these better. Nice to be human, right? Okay, so loose agenda. We're going to chat a little bit together, do a contract overview and grievance process. There are some changes in the contract. They're confusing, but there are also not very many of them. So we can spend some time on them and hopefully mitigate that confusion. We're going to talk about, I'll hand it over to Bern, talk about breaking stigmas and utilizing resources. And then we're going to talk about what our plans, what we did last year and what our plans are for this year. Okay. Okay, so we asked these questions before, but they're always fun. So who's been a part-timer more than 3 years?
Here or
Anywhere. Yeah, anywhere. So yeah, I was. More than 5? More than 10. Okay. Now, within that 10-year space, potentially, 3 to 10 year space, what are some of the weirder gig jobs that you've done?
5.
Wow, 2 colleges and 5?
that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Any strange jobs that people might have done to pick up extra money or?
And if you're online, just go ahead and unmute yourself and talk.
Secret shopping. Secret shopping.
Secret shopping. Okay, that's a fun one.
Starbucks. Actually, it kind of is.
Starbucks. Okay. What's that? Surveys. Okay.
Just dental hygiene.
Dental hygiene. Okay. Probably you do real estate too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I was a lumberjack.
I don't believe that.
Oh, yes. I was an unlicensed, an unlicensed lumberjack. So I got pushed out of the business when I knocked down someone's tree and they said, "You don't have any insurance, do you?"
Hey, I worked underground.
Underground? Oh, yes, you did. Wow, come on, Mark. That was a family heritage thing.
When I started and stuff, I was doing 3 part-time jobs and stuff between Heald, Fresno City, and Fresno Pacific. So yeah, I get it. I did that for 6 years.
Yeah. Wow. Any others really quickly?
Made pastries on the side.
It's really good baklava. You shouldn't have to do that to make ends meet.
Not for money.
Yeah.
They charge double. But, I think the point is that, especially when we were paid so low, and historically that we had to figure out something to make ends meet. And so we've all had to do that. Thankfully, hopefully you've seen some difference in your pay, especially how many of us work during the summer? Yeah. So some of us already saw the benefits of the contract with our paychecks just in the summertime.
And it's going to be bigger.
It's going to be bigger once September hits.
Yeah.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
So what are some positive experiences in your department or negative experiences?
My son was hired, the adjunct, so that's why I'm here, because he
Okay.
asked me questions.
All right.
The whole time, had adjuncts who knew what they were doing, and I never had to answer a question. And now he's like, "Well, what is it?" And I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah.
Have him come to this too.
But is that positive or negative that your son is not
Well,
working?
it's a good thing. Well, because he needs to find himself.
Okay. Oh.
Yes.
Using being told that I only get this many flex out. I'm just
Mhm.
feeling like they're ushering me away from all of that.
Yeah, I think confusion, period, messaging, and then feeling like you're not actually part of the campus, if I can fill that in, yeah. It's hard to feel connected when you're part-time.
But I think it's a little worse right now.
Yeah, you could be right.
We only get 2 flex hours, and I was like,
Mhm.
No, you can do the whole
Yeah, I
day.
didn't hear that.
I know, I never, that would mean like if they have 5 of them, I have to just pick 2.
Mhm.
No.
That's weird, okay.
That's what
One thing positive is that they've initiated Adjunct Academy, I guess it's an online program that helps a lot of questions. Another thing with department meetings, they go, okay, we're gonna dismiss the adjuncts, what are we missing out on? It's secret information here, so like being included, right?
Yeah.
So.
I'll kind of speak to that because my department is the opposite. Not the, like kids, but I feel like my people, Mark and all of you guys have really had our backs as part-timers. There has never been a time where I have felt less than by my colleagues.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I think that's not the case at another campus that I teach.
Yeah.
Actually, so before we go any further, when we speak, would you mind telling us your name and department? Just in case. Henceforward. Yes, Stephen.
I'm having a hard time hearing everyone, so if we could speak up a little. And in my department, I've joined last year, and we've been discussing different themes and that department and separation and different departments. I cannot see him. I'm so sorry.
Talking about separating. Talking about separating EMLS from ASL.
Oh, and the different cultures.
Foreign
language.
Department
Yeah.
separating.
Brain.
You will have a lot of different
Mhm.
methodology, resources, all completely different resources. Nancy make sure she's full time. She was here for the year. Here, she for the year. 20 years here. Yeah.
Yeah, and still has resource problems, right?
But she said that the part should be separated because we had problems.
Yeah. So I can relay this because we're in the same division. So yeah, the discussion is all the foreign languages and the ASL are grouped together right now. And there is an idea that they should be separate. But there's a concern that the resources that are already short will be even more competed for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can state some more positives. I would say that in the social science division, we have probably the largest amount of union membership. And not just that, we also have a large portion of our executive council as part of that.
Yes.
The same with the
Yeah.
English department. So we are very outspoken. Yesterday in our department, we pushed back, our dean was saying like, hey, you should put your syllabus out if you want to get that started, over the weekend. And we had people, at least one person said, I'm not going to do it. Class starts on Monday.
Yep.
I'm not starting early. I'm not going to have this duty creep happen.
Thank you, Bernadette.
Oh, you're welcome.
I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
I'm not at that meeting. This is Jacqueline. I'm sorry to interrupt, but the
right.
micromanaging and helicoptering behaviors that are going on there are just a little much after a while. Thank you.
Yes,
for your support.
they are. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that I have learned is that the more union membership that we have, the more positive we feel about being able to speak up. A big portion of that is knowing your contract. So if you read it, I know it's not, it's kind of dense material, But if you know that contract, you can tell your dean or your chair or whomever, this is not in the contract and therefore I don't have to do this. Or you can contact us, but a lot of people are kind of don't look at that and they don't know their rights or how they should be treated in the workplace.
So speaking of the contract, let's give a brief overview of that and of the grievance process. Okay, so what we do for you, so we support best practices that enhance student education and success. We support faculty interest in the pursuit of student success in a collegial atmosphere on campuses. We negotiate contracts, that's the big one, with the district to provide transparency and benefits for all our faculty professionals. We represent and advocate for faculty rights, conducive work environments and opportunities for advancement. And we work with the campuses and our community, we're getting better at that one, the community part, to enhance public education in support of our students and faculty. So here's what the contract does in very broad strokes. So it's available online. We can have a longer conversation about it if you'd like, but we're just going to do the substantive parts. So it outlines the Federation's rights to public information and employee information. It allows us to consult with and support you. The roles and rights of district management are in there. By the way, the rights of district management is one article, one page. The roles and rights of the Federation is much longer. So they think they have a lot of rights. They don't. We do. Okay. Your rights to safe work environments. The hours, workload, and class size negotiated by us. Information on office hours, we're going to talk more about because that's the confusing part. The academic calendar, employee assignment, the process and calendar for part-time evaluations, your rights to transparency in regards to your personnel records, conditions for time off work, the procedures for grievances, compensation, salary, additional payments, and tax stuff. Okay, notable points. Your job offer, the thing that you sign every semester that they go, oh, we need that on file. You got to sign that. You got to sign that. You got to sign that. Have you signed that? You got to sign that. That's not your contract. Okay. Your contract is negotiated by the Federation and changes have to be approved by both parties, by the Federation and the district. We are currently, so our present contract runs from 22 to 25. So we're already 1 year deep, right? We just sort of got blanked on that we were out of contract for a year. And now all of a sudden here we are in year 2 of a contract, of a 3-year contract. So, but that agreement is really meaningless. So,
and I think especially some of you have experienced how meaningless this can be. You think it's a legal binding contract and then your class gets canceled.
Yeah.
And you had already anticipated, I'm going to be here. This is how much I'm probably going to be paid.
1 second.
So, I mean, this is where we go back to the actual contract that we negotiate on is your actual contract.
Yeah. Also, seniority is not a thing. Okay. I know this is a frustrating point, but there's a reason. So you get comparable load after you've been here for 6 semesters, or if you're a non-instructional after you've worked 864 hours, which I know it sounds like a lot. It's not. They work 23 hours a week. It stacks up pretty quickly. Here's the reason why we didn't want seniority in there. Because anytime we try to talk about it, the district tries to introduce more areas of division. So they wanted comparable load. They wanted 2 different pools for comparable load for seniority. You know where they wanted seniority to be established? How many years of service do you think they wanted it before they gave you any kind of seniority? 10. You know, you were there. Yeah, 10 years. 10 years, not 6 semesters, which is 3 years. 10. And so, and they wanted those people who have been here for more than 10 years. Well, first off, they have to go through all that, right? And then they wanted actually a second pool that was now instead of 6 semesters, 8 semesters. And so instead of that, we fought back, we kept it the way that it was. 6 semesters, and you have comparable load. What that means is if fall to fall, spring to spring, if you teach an average of 9 units in the fall, that's your comparable load, and you're entitled to that before anybody new under that 6th semester line gets any classes. If your load goes down in spring, historically, if you're usually six units, then that's your comparable load for spring. Okay. Also, full-time faculty are not your bosses.
Can I interject really quickly?
Sure.
I'm kind of cynical.
Speak up though, okay?
I'm kind of cynical about that 10 years because I think statistics prove that most adjuncts don't stay around for 10 years, do that?
No, they do not. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, most adjuncts do not stay around for 10 years. So they were setting an impossible goal.
Right. So nobody would have, so almost nobody would have seniority.
Right. I mean, there are a few.
I mean,
right?
we had several of us
Yeah.
here in this room, so
Yeah.
yes.
So I got lucky last spring and I actually had a full load
Oh, okay.
for a part-timer. So is that my comparable load from now on in the spring, or is it just gonna go down when I have a bad one?
So no, it has to be consistent over a few semesters, but
Okay.
but now we have a 3-year average for you in spring. That's higher. So like, let's say that you had an 8 unit spring, a couple of springs ago, 9 and now 10. Over those 3 springs, that's your comparable load.
Cool.
So now it's up to 9.
You're saying if they try to give you 4 units, you can say like, no, you have to give me another class?
Right.
Is that what
Yeah,
you're
you come to us. Say, I'm not getting my comparable load.
That's what that for you.
Yeah, go to us. No.
I don't think so.
Nope, that's 2 contracts.
We just know more now.
Yeah. So we have to look at the 3-year, the 3 spring or the 3 fall average to
Right.
get what we.
And,
Wish I would have.
and this doesn't apply to summer, does it?
It does not apply to summer. Summer is the Wild West. Anybody can get anything.
And the other thing about summer school, which is very frustrating, is if you're working during that time, if you have student loans, that time does not count
Service, yeah.
as service.
Yeah.
So it's just fall or spring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, you mean
They-
tried to?
Maybe they didn't want
Unforgivable.
seniority. It's because they didn't want to get you pay raise.
No,
More years to get you pay raise. And maybe if that's part of the reason why they didn't want to.
it could be that. And I don't think it's because of pay. I think it's because they just wanted to be able to do whatever they wanted with the schedule. It's a pain. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pain to have to do the comparable load thing.
Keith, okay, so I've been at Fresno City about 6 years. This will be 7. And I have usually carried about, 10 to 12 units. Last year, I got bumped down to 3 per semester because the full-time faculty needed to complete their, help me out, complete their contract.
Right.
So how does that get taken into consideration? I had no idea that this was a benefit to me.
So well, thank you for bringing this up, but unfortunately, there's bad news. If a full-timer needs to make load, then they can take it from a part-timer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one of the exceptions. So the way I should probably put a slide on this, but the way that courses are meant to be assigned according to the contract is full-timers get their base load, not overload. They get their base load, then those part-timers who have gotten to that comparable load level, then they get their comparable load, then full-time overload, then new part-timers. That's the way it's supposed to go.
What was that one for the last one?
Full-time overload. So
Okay.
full-timers have a contractual guarantee of 15 units per semester.
Isn't it
LHE, yes, 15 LHE. Thank you.
So let me just finish that. So last spring and last fall, instead of 10 or whatever, I was cut down to 3. So that becomes part of the equation for the comparable load, correct?
We can also make an argument to administration that semester shouldn't have counted. So let's have a longer discussion offline.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's an exceptional circumstance.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Usually it's when you let go of a class or you don't, or something.
Yeah, usually it's when you say no to them.
Okay, I think I'll go over to Fresno City for the other one or something like that.
I have a question. How about
Yes.
non-instructional overloading?
Yes.
For instance, for fall or spring, you do overload and you're not told that it could affect you from getting a full-time job. Is that correct?
Yes. So for our non-instructional colleagues, you need to be very careful of going over your 23-hour limit. And the reason for that is exactly what you're just talking about, is if you go over in one semester, say, they could look at your hours in April and say, oh, if we let you go over a certain limit for the year, then we have to give you benefits or we have to bump you into full time. So instead of doing that, instead of giving you the 25 or 26 hours that you've been working, we're going to cut you down to 14 for the remainder of the year so that we make up that difference. So it's unfortunate, especially during COVID, they had a lot of extra money for student services. And so a lot of our counseling part-timers got bumped over their limits, and only to find out then that they were going to get punished for it halfway through the year, or that they got bumped into a full-time position for 1 year, which meant that they were now not eligible to go into a full-time position the following year. Yeah.
So now would we be eligible for a 10-year position?
Yes. Yeah. You can always apply for a 10-year position.
Okay.
Nothing that you've done as a part-timer would preclude you from applying for a tenured position. It just precludes you from doing full-time temporary work in I think it's a 3-year period. So
Yeah. Keith,
does that answer the question?
Yes. Thank you.
Keith, Mark Forrest here. Hey, guys, again, I'm full-time, but I was also part-time, and I did 2 sabbatical replacements for 1 semester each. The second one there was actually a 1-year sabbatical replacement, and they said, sorry, you can't do it because that would be more than 1 year in a 3-year cycle. So then I was relegated to just having a 1 semester again, and so I lost the opportunity. But it didn't stop me eventually from, was able to land a full-time job. So I just wanted to let you know that if I speak up, I'm not trying to speak as a faculty full-time, but I kind of lived through some of what you guys did, and to say, hey, at least I'm one of those faculty, I'm really sensitive to that and wanted to make you aware of what's going on.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. So I appreciate all the comments and want to be mindful of that, but I also want to be mindful of our time. So let's get through some of the more important stuff. So evaluations are not meant to be punitive. They are not meant to get you in trouble. They're meant to help you be better. You are evaluated on the positions that you hold and those duties that are outlined in the contract. This is really important. If you're being evaluated on something that is not your job, come to us. Okay. College administration is responsible for the evaluation process. This is important. This occurs between week 6 and week 13, not before, when you're still building relationships with your students, and not after, when all you're doing is reviewing for finals. In-class visits are made as a part of the evaluation. Students' evaluations are standardized. Those are released on Canvas now. And the district, I say handed out. They could be handed out. Get more participation that way. Anyway, your evaluator. This is a key one. Your evaluator should discuss your evaluation with you. If they don't, get in front of them. Make them do this. This is how you get letters of recommendation. This is how you learn how to become better.
Once again, the definition of supervisor is the dean, right?
No, this is evaluator.
Oh,
so if you are evaluated, like let's say you're evaluated by a full-time faculty, have them go over the evaluation with you.
Everybody should receive a packet, and it's usually should be provided by, unfortunately, the next semester, which is, I feel like, is a little late, but you should have that a full evaluation from the person who evaluated you and the student's remarks. If you do not receive that, you need to go back because you need to know what you're doing great in and what you need to improve on. One thing that came up yesterday, that was a question for us in our psych department, was evaluating a part-timer And so I actually had to go through the contract because the question came up as far as our dean wanted the part-timer to be evaluated with all the classes that they teach. And I thought it was just one class. And I had to call Keith because it's not in our contract. And it's really up to the dean. If you're teaching 3 different classes, you could have somebody evaluating you in all 3. So just be mindful of that. That's why it's really important to come through that contract. And then if something is amiss, to contact us and then we can clarify and support whatever moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they can evaluate more.
That's new.
No, that's been there for a long time. So
It's really up to the dean.
Yeah.
If they want to do more than one.
It's up to your supervisor. Here's the thing, the argument that we always make with the dean is why do you want to kill yourself, right? Why do you want to do all that extra work? Especially so if you're in psych and you're teaching 3 of the same exact prep, it's going to be the same class, right? I mean, maybe you have different student dynamics in one class, but it's going to be the same. So why do that extra work? But they can if they want to.
If you have 2 different types of classes.
They can do that as well.
They
So
can.
2 different preps.
So the crux of this one here is that, so you are, all of us should be evaluated in our first semester, of teaching or service, and then second or third semester thereafter. And then after that, it's going to be at least once every 6 semesters. So you get through those first 3 semesters, and as long as everything's going well, and you don't have an overzealous dean who just wants to work themselves to death, which kind of helps us, right? Because then they go away. But anyway, if you don't have an overzealous dean, after that first 18 months, you're going to get evaluated once every 3 years. That's how that's going to work. They could evaluate you more often than that. And they don't, if that's a performance thing, or even if they just want to look, they can. But usually, like I said, we explain to them that it's not worth their time, especially if you've got a seasoned part-timer. Why bother? Okay. This is an attempt at explaining the office hours, and this slide will be shared. I want to point out that the Federation recognizes how stupendously stupid these are, and acknowledge that we could not get any further ground with the district. We have a strategy that I want to share with you toward the end. But here are the rules. So no more than 20% of your office hours can be conducted online. Stupid, because a lot of our part-timers only teach online, and our students might be in Michigan, right? Or some other place, right? They're not going to come to campus. The time of the weekly office hour has to be in writing, communicated to your students. That makes sense. All office hours are at least 50 minutes in length, not more. Okay? So 50 minutes is an office hour. Okay. They can't be scheduled consecutively, so you can't do a 2-hour block. Okay. And they have to be at a time that's reasonably expected that students will be available. So no office hour at 2 in the morning, right? Unless for some odd reason, all of your students are commuting in from Hong Kong, telecommuting in from Hong Kong. The amounts, this is the puzzling part. So you get up to 10 office hours in a semester if you have 20 to 40% load. So more or less 3 to 6 LHE, 3 to 6 units. You get up to 12 if you are just above that 6-unit line, up to 9. Okay. And then you get up to 14, anything above the 9 LHE, anything above 60%.
Like they're trying to make it confusing.
It's trying to make it what?
It's like they're trying to make it confusing.
Yes, they are. I don't know why. And I'll share the strategy with you now. What we want to do, we're devising an open survey that everybody can share with their students in the first week to basically say that having, especially for part-timers, having only one virtual office hour is not right. It's not fair, especially if you only teach online. And some of our part-timers teach out of state. They live out of state. How are they going to have an in-person office hour? But they shouldn't only then be restricted to one virtual office hour. So keep your eyes open for that. Because of the contract differences between full and part-time, there's going to be 2 different surveys, one for full-time, one for part-time. But the goal of this will be to collect data that shows I can't make it shows that the student cannot make it at this particular time, and then it would be better if the district relaxed this virtual restriction for us.
How many of you applied to have office hours in the past? And how many of you were actually granted office hours? So
Almost the same.
almost
Yeah.
3/4. I'll have to jump in. I'm curious because I know we have a lot of people online. But I have seen some of the data from the Office of Instruction. It really bothers me when I know that there are part-timers who want to have office hours and we get rejected. I have been very vocal at the Board of Trustee meetings, telling our chancellor, everybody there, like, this is all about student success and ability for us to meet with our students. So there is a huge inequity in this whole process compared to full-timers.
Yeah.
We have to fill out the paperwork. We have to, go through all this rigmarole to get it going.
I can tell you that about halfway through the semester, mine started getting busy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because I teach kind of difficult classes, but still,
Yeah.
they get busy.
Well, regardless if we teach whatever type of classes, we should be able to meet with our students.
I know.
So.
Bernadette?
Yes.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but could you address when you don't have TB clearance, you cannot step foot on the campus, and we are offered that if you are totally asynchronous, you do not have to have TB clearance, that you can go ahead and have as an exception, but you have to give your right hand up in the air, I guess, that you'll never step on campus. Well, how am I supposed to do this?
Let's have a longer conversation, you and me, about that.
You got that, Jackie?
I did. Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
I've been thinking about this for a while now, and I was afraid to say anything, but has anybody thought about the fact that on the student side, they pay the same fee?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's also frustrating, believe me, because.
I think it was like, because it was last spring, they didn't give us any office hours at all.
Mm-hmm.
No, actually, it was
all last year.
It was a whole academic year that office hours were taken away from us.
Yeah.
As part-timers, we do not get the same pay rate. I believe full-timers get their actual base pay rate.
Mhm.
There's a lot of inequity here.
And I even really talk about that, I'm just thinking class action lawsuit, because they're paying the same fee
Oh, less access.
for less access to their instructor.
The students would have to do that, but that's an interesting
They did,
notion.
I know. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the lawyer brain in me. This word got out.
Yeah, well, and
They
so,
would have some, but if they got a break in fees, then it wouldn't be there. It'd be like, okay, maybe the student feels like he isn't gonna need office hours, so they'll take the
well, I mean, I think you're hitting onto something, and it's worth pointing out, we didn't talk about numbers when we started out this session, and we probably should have. So we have 730, I believe, 730 full-time faculty. We have 1,500 part-timers.
District-wide.
District-wide, but more than double. And that more than double, last time we looked, which wasn't last year, but I imagine it's consistent. You all teach 55% of the classes.
Mm-hmm.
Which means you do more of the teaching than the full-timers.
And I would say most of us teach during the summer, and we all know that office hours isn't even a thing during summer. I, once again, brought this up to the Board of Trustees, asking, once we were going into our second semester of not having office hours, I asked them, do you realize how many students this is going to impact? Are you tracking how many students this will impact because of the sheer number of part-timers? So they at least know that I'm thinking about these things, but I think we need to speak about that on a broader level.
Yeah, but I like the idea of getting students involved. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify, you say minimum 50 minutes.
That is 1 hour.
Total
For a
for
week.
the semester
No.
1 week.
1 hour.
Per week.
per week, 50 minutes per week minimum, right?
So how many units do you have this semester? How many units are you teaching?
3, 6, 9 classes.
Yeah.
Oh, did we?
Oh, I think the interpreter froze.
Oh.
Oh, that's why.
Okay. There she is.
Fine.
Hi, we're getting there.
Working on it, sorry.
Admin, there you go. No, oh, yeah, there we go.
Okay, so yeah, how many units is he teaching this semester?
Two classes?
I have 2 classes.
Okay, so it's probably 8 units?
6 units, 8 units?
It's probably 8, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so then it would be 2 2 office hours per week.
15 minutes.
Well, actually, it's up to 12 office hours per semester. So it's not per week. It's just per semester you have 12.
And that's the other thing too. It's like, okay, out of the 18 weeks, take 12 weeks that you want to meet with your students.
Right.
Hey, and I think that most of us are really good professors. So we all know that it's not like we're going to drop the ball and say like, oh, I'm scot-free for meeting with you. You're going to have to figure this out on your own. We still meet with them,
Yeah.
Okay, so my other thought that just popped in my head when you did math is I have 3 full classes in the fall.
Mhm.
So I've got a full load, so there's 90 students.
Uh-huh.
Now I'll get 1 hour.
Yes. Lots of us are impacted the same way.
It's like not even a minute per student.
Yeah. So we're very frustrated with that. We did get, in this new contract, we did get, extra money for office hours. But I'm sure most of you have received an email from your dean saying, if you'd like office hours, fill out this paperwork.
Yeah.
So I am frustrated with that process because in an ideal, perfect world, they would just say, hold your office hours, meet with your students, you will get paid. Don't fill out anything.
So I don't want to give this short shrift, but I do want to make sure that we get through the presentation. And I also want to make sure that we understand one of the reasons that we wanted to have this presentation is so that we know how best to advocate for you going forward. We ain't done.
Right.
We had a really good victory in the last contract, but we are not stopping. We're not stopping until you are treated exactly like full-time faculty. Period. Okay, just really quickly, any violation of the evaluation process is grievable, not the substance. So if somebody objects to how you teach, but they do everything else according to the rules, they can do that. Okay, just really quick overview of grievance. This is courtesy of our new Executive Vice President, Rhea Williams. We're, again, overrepresented. So you have the President of the Union in English, and you have the Executive Vice President who would take over if I got hit by a bus or won the lottery, right? Also in English. Okay, so a grievance is a formal allegation that the contract has been violated or breached. It is not just a complaint. So we need to distinguish between HR complaints where, somebody behaved inappropriately or was rude or prejudicial in some way or did some other thing that was a violation of a policy. That's an HR complaint. We do help with those. That's why we have a vice president of member rights now, not a vice president of grievance. We do both. Okay. But a grievance just has to do with the contract. And these will be shared. So I don't know, we can spend a little bit more time on them, but.
And I will say that our new member rights person here at Fresno City College is Paul Gilmore.
Yes.
So if you already know it's a grievance, you can just reach out to Paul. And
if you don't know, reach out.
Yeah. And if you're not sure, contact, I'm a part-time representative. We have a few other, and then if we know that it's a grievance, we will pass along your case to Paul. These are some of the perks of having a union membership that we can advocate for you.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk really quickly about breaking stigmas and utilizing resources. If you've seen this presentation before, it hasn't changed, but I also want to just talk about how well this has gone. Okay. So why do people not get involved with the union?
Nervous about retribution.
Nervous about maybe nervous about the dues expense, or nervous about what?
Getting pushback from.
Yeah, getting pushback from maybe from your dean. Like, oh, you don't want to stand out. right? That's, anybody heard that piece of, just keep your head down and work.
Yeah.
Don't stand out.
We don't want to be a troublemaker.
Mhm.
How they'll know.
Yeah, and so let's push back on that. A few of you, actually, most of you know me and have known me for a little while, but it's worth reiterating. You know, I was part-time when I became president, right? I was a part-timer for a year. So visibility is an ally. You know how many times Bernadette has had any kind of disciplinary issue against her because she stood up? 0.
And I spoke to the Fresno Bee.
Yeah,
You know,
and the board
I'm not joking.
and the news, right? Visibility is your ally. So not getting involved because you think you're going to stand out to your dean, that is fear-based mentality that all that does is give them power. All it does is give them power to do exactly what you're afraid they're doing. So step out and recognize that you have more power and visibility. Okay?
I think
Yes.
one of the reasons I've been an adjunct for in my 23rd year, and the first 10 or 15 years, I always looked at that and said, I don't need to join the union. And
Mhm.
but once I got with a lot of our colleagues in the room and online, we did the COVID hours together, and I got to meet other adjuncts, and they said, oh yeah, we're in the union, and Keith and Bernadette are good advocates for a lot of these things that, you know, helping with a lot of different things that was a challenge, which encouraged me to, and Bernadette gave me a phone call too and followed up right about that time. I go, yeah, I'm going to join first time out for 20 years, you know?
Mhm.
So I think being isolated as adjunct makes us resistant to joining.
Yeah.
Especially if we teach at night or on the weekends.
Mhm.
It's very isolating. I consider myself a pretty outgoing person. I don't care if I, have to ask questions, but I know a lot of people are like, I don't know who to ask. I don't know where to go.
Mhm.
I don't know what to do with this roster. So you can only imagine if we don't know the day-to-day stuff, the bigger things we're really afraid to ask, especially if somebody says, you should be grateful that you got paid or that you even have a job. And that's been said to me before, in a sense where it's like, what?
Yeah.
Setting up that event you guys had last semester that was in the theater and other events around, those are real helpful too.
And
That's good to hear.
we're gonna get to that because we want to continue with that as we fight for some of the things that we didn't get or that we would like to get in the next contract.
I think that's here. Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's just really quickly. So yeah, again, to underscore why people don't join or get involved. You don't join and get involved because you've been told that you'd be punished or have been given reason to fear or something. I'm here to tell you that is false. False. We have, I don't want to give ourselves too much credit, right? Because we're just part of a continuum of leadership that's been working on this problem for at least 15, 16 years. But we have changed the dynamic.
Mhm.
We have changed the dynamic where people are talking about part-time, talking about the inequities, talking about how unfair it is for the first time actively, openly. Like, I think we've been working together now for 6 years. And I think we've really started to see change in this last 2, right? Where we've gotten over a hump. And again, we ain't finished. We're coming for more. And we're going to keep coming until you are treated exactly the same as full-time faculty. But we've made significant inroads. You do not have to hide.
I will say, as far as our membership goes, our membership dues are pretty low. That's a perk. If you are a part-timer, it's $16.57 a month, or the month that you receive a paycheck.
Yeah.
Those dues will not increase. We had that in the last election.
No, there's going to be a per cap increase, but that's not from us. It's like it's $1.
So there's that.
That's maybe every year, but usually not.
If you think that a lot of people think that they're a member because they receive our emails, that's not necessarily the case. Hopefully everybody got a text from Ashley Green, our new executive director, yesterday. If you did not receive a text message, you're probably not a member. And if you'd like to be a member, we can help sign you up. So we can also show you the website and a bunch of other resources. As a member, you will get access to not only the events that we take place, but we have a lot of things that are already recorded. And you can go back and utilize those as well. So it's just a small bit. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, and then we'll move on real quick, but let me, there's no slide about this, but there should be. So let me just talk about this really quickly, okay? That big win that we got, okay, last year, and you're not going to see it unfortunately until September 8th, but last year we got our part-time colleagues a 13.56% raise, 13.56. This semester, which you're going to see also in your September check, you're getting an you're getting a 13.22% raise on top of that 13.
That doesn't start in July, that starts in August.
Starts in August, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the contracts, so you know that agreement that you signed at the beginning, that states that you work August 1st to whenever, right? Anyway. So, but in between last year and this year, right? You're going to have, when that compounds, you're going to have a 30% raise. Okay. And then by the end of the contract, we predicted this out. It looks like you're going to be getting a 40% raise from last year to the end of, to the beginning of next year. 40%. Now, that was with the involvement that we've gotten so far. Imagine if we could turn out the rest of our part-timers. If we can mobilize the rest of us, we can actually change the district fully. So this is what we did last year. Some of the events that we did, right? A big piece of what we did was negotiating the current contract. It took a lot of time. We've got a year now where we can just go, okay, let's do other stuff.
We'll get
Right. Yeah, we'll get that. Yeah. So we did unemployment workshops. So there's an RBI, it's a recurring workshop. We do them every semester. Public service loan forgiveness. By the way, poster child for public service loan forgiveness, Bernadette. $263,000 forgiven. She's part-time, folks, and she got her loans forgiven. They're counting part-time service now. Take advantage. For years, our part-timers didn't take advantage of this because it doesn't work for us. It's only for full-time. Nope.
If you teach 3 classes, it's 1 class is multiplied by 10. So 3 classes would be 30 hours, and federally 30 hours is considered full-time.
Yep.
So you don't have to go to multiple campuses unless you want to try and generate an actual living wage, which we're trying to change. So if you have questions about student loans, especially if you're a part-timer, please come to me. I will help you even with paperwork and stuff.
Yeah.
Come to you wherever.
Email.
You got her card.
Everybody has my card.
You can walk into the office, or would you rather just have a call?
When I figure out, we'll
figure that out. Yeah.
In the office.
So we also did a navigating the full-time application process. We're going to do that again. That was really successful. We actually had a number of our part-timers become full-timers because of those workshops. Yeah. Do salary advancement. The reason that secured 200 million for part-time healthcare is in red is because the state secured that. And when we tried to negotiate for it here, we did not get it.
Yeah.
And so we're coming for it this fall.
We fought for healthcare for about 18 months.
$1 million was allocated to our district?
No, statewide. Statewide, but for 17,000 adjuncts, statewide.
And I think
that's it.
How many other districts have already 6?
10. No.
So 10 districts in the state of California have already said, yes, we want to provide healthcare. State center, no.
Yeah.
So we're still fighting for that. I was particularly pretty perturbed at convocation. I don't know how many of you guys went to the Wednesday convocation, but we heard a lot of importance on healthcare and how much we need this. And I'm thinking, you guys just left free money on the table. So
you should take care of yourselves. We're not going to give you help.
And get that because we want to make sure that everybody has access, not just for healthcare, but also mental health. Especially coming out of COVID, we know how important that is. Yeah. So we will still be advocating for that. I'm asking everybody for assistance as we move forward, and we'll be reiterating that. But if any of these things are impactful to you or important, we need you to also show up in numbers. Even if you're holding a sign with us, if you don't want to speak, but we need those bodies for them to say, oh, it's more than just.
Yeah, the usual suspects, right? Even though just the usual suspects got us those amazing raises, right? Even though that, but imagine what we could do if it were more than just the regular 5 or 6 of us who show up at a board meeting. Okay, so this is what this semester, I couldn't actually fit the whole year onto one slide, and this is already too small to read, right? So evaluation training workshops. So this is something that you need to be aware of. We are going to start training our people on how to properly evaluate you and properly evaluate the full-time colleagues as well. It's never been done before, to my knowledge, right? We're also going to, as Bernadette was just talking about, we are going to get back on the part-time healthcare horse, and we're going to try to get this thing across the finish line. So many metaphors. Going to talk about public service loan forgiveness in September because the rules are changing back in October, so it's important to have something before that. We're going to be doing Equity Week in October, and I know I'm bouncing around here, but do Equity Week in October. We're actually going to have a longevity event for our part-timers. Full-timers get longevity awards all the time. Nobody gets anything if you've been here a long time for a part-time thing. So as a part-timer. So we're going to change that. We're going to do another healthcare forum like we did 3 years ago now. It's been a while. We're also going to, I already talked about the full-time application process. Another one in August. If you are brand new, if this doesn't apply if you're not a new hire, but if you are brand new, so your son, we're going to have a salary placement workshop. They need to make sure that they're placed correctly on the salary scale, and part-timers only have 30 days to do that. Full-timers have 6 months. Well, anyway, I want to do a power analysis workshop. We've never done this, never done this in the district, where we just say, these are the power brokers in the district. These are the people with the power on your campus. These are the levers that you pull and how you go about getting your needs met. That's going to take shape as we go. Like I said, we've never done it before. In October, we're going to do STRS retirement workshops, one for full-time and one for part-time. Please come to that. The rules are different for part-time. I don't even know all of them, but we have a faculty member from the LA Faculty Guild who is one of the STRS board members. So she is a union member and she's on the board of STRS. She's brilliant and very good at explaining the stuff. She's coming to us.
Are these like Zoom meetings or?
Most of these will be, most of the workshops are Zoom. In fact, all of the workshops are Zoom because it's just more convenient for everybody. If we do a workshop in person, we get 20 people. If we do a workshop on Zoom, we get 150. So you lose something, but you gain so many more people.
You know how this is about.
Yes.
The activities that we'll eventually plan for Equity Week, those will more likely be in person. And I just want to share, Equity Week is for part-timers.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
This event is a nationwide event, the third week in October, just dedicated to part-timers and their issues in higher education. So when you see these events happening, I hope that you make it out to any of the events and support of yourself. It's for you. Mm-hmm. And also for the full-timers that we have on call, I hope that you also show up and advocate for equity. And because some of you have probably still PTSD from your treatment as a part-timer. And I know that we're all
through your issues with us.
We're all striving for equity. So what a brilliant way to actually show, especially the district, that you are not going to divide us. Mm-hmm. That was one of the things that we really saw this last contract of how divisive they were making the full-timers and the part-timers and including the non-instructional, because they kept on saying, oh, part-timers were giving you such a raise. I'm sorry, it wasn't a raise. We were trying to actually get closer to where
it's a balancing.
The full-timers are. Yeah, it's a balance. It wasn't a raise. We actually were getting like now a living wage for the most part. Mm-hmm. And so I really would like to have the assistance of our full-time faculty, instructional, non-instructional, come out and support, because we need to be together to really fight this issue.
Yeah, when they start paying me a staff of what the full-timers make per year, then we're still not there. Not even.
Yeah. I mean, parity is 67%.
Yeah.
67%.
That's actually where I'm at. I'm about 67% on my teaching funds.
Oh, I'm getting the interpreter.
Oh.
So, I was really frustrated hearing like, well, the part-timers got this, so therefore the full-timers are going to get less than, or, get that Wednesday duty day. We want to stop that conversation and bring everybody together. That's my hope moving forward, is that we can really tell them, no, we're all together as one.
Yeah. I think part of what we all know, and for those who are now full-time and have been part-time, part of what we know and what in our bones, in our gut, is that the entire system, this is not just our district, right? But the entire higher education system is built on a foundation of unethical, unequitable labor. And we need to change that. We need to constantly talk about that and advocate for, it's going to take legislative change. It's going to take political advocacy, all of those things. And not to go too far off script, but we're involved in doing that at the state level. Bernadette and I are both involved in that. Because it's not just us.
Yeah.
And it's not
just California.
Yeah, but it's baked into the system.
Yeah.
That we have cheap labor that we can exploit. And for all that the district, for all that the Board of Governors say that they're all about equity, this is a little bit like Sparta claiming to be a democracy when they have an entire population of serfs that allow them to be that way, right? Come on. Or Athens is probably a better metaphor because Athens had 40% slaves and only 20% free people.
That's about right.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway. Yeah, let's do that. So this is just the wrap up stuff, but we wanted to actually just talk. So these are all of your reps. This is going to be shared later on. So in backspace, that's Bernadette and I, and then also Ashley. And where you can come visit us. So there's always going to be somebody at the Union House, and it's just down the street, 2 minutes away. Not 2 minutes drive, 2 minutes walk. So come see us.
That's where you're working now?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it's your Union House. Don't feel like it's just our place. It's your place to come in.
No, it's
So when you guys, when you want us to contact you via email, those are the emails you want us to use? Those Fresno City College email?
Either one.
either one. Yeah.
I don't know your other.
Honestly, text me.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
my other email, I believe, is on the business card that I gave you.
Text, I'm kind of not.
It's, yeah, only the SMC.
Yeah, only the website, only the other site.
You can get to us through the website, and but you can also call and text.
Okay.
So my personal cell is on my card. So, and I don't expect everyone else to have that level of exposure, but it's fine with me. So, okay, so let's stop the presentation. And let's just talk. We have a year. We have, because we are already 1 year deep into a 3-year contract, we have 1 year before we're going to be back at the bargaining table. So in fall of 24, we will be back advocating for you again with an open contract. What do you want? What will help you?
So I know some people that work part-time at Fresno State.
Mhm.
They're treated much better
Okay.
than we are.
What are some concrete things?
The pay,
Okay.
the average, the guys I know, they get about 60 to 65 annually.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
The full-timers, of course, they're get about 120, right?
Mhm.
So that, the part-timers there actually are made to feel like they're part of things. They get an office. They get an office hour. Okay?
Yeah, that's a good one.
They get an office and an
Space.
office hour.
Yeah.
So I understand state's different. I understand that. I get it. They have more money. They do a different thing, but not completely.
Mhm.
You know,
I would like to at least be treated with that much respect.
Okay. So yeah, so space, better pay. Yeah.
I've been a part-timer there and I actually thought that we got better pay.
I did too, but I was a student in their fellowship program and that was sucky beyond.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe I can clarify the pay thing. We get paid better hourly. And now with the new raises, we're very close to being paid similarly to them, but because they get paid by the class, not by the hour that they're in the class,
Right.
they do get more money. Because they have prep built in, they have office hours built into their pay. We don't have that yet.
Go ahead, Mark.
So,
Yeah, I was just going to say, Keith, it's been a few years since I taught at state or whatever, but my understanding, unless it's changed, that you hit it right on. It's by class, not by hours.
right.
And that if what they did is we have a 2-tiered system, and that's really the way we should describe it. And it's been like this for decades, where we have the Schedule A and Schedule C, and we pay crap at Schedule C. And I remember when Red Wine came in, and I asked her, I said, hey, in the Schedule A, we're in the top 10% best paid in the state. And on Schedule C, we're in the bottom 10%. And she says, yeah, that's not good. And I go, okay, got it, fix it. and it didn't happen. What Fresno State does is they look at a class and they say, okay, great. This is what we would have a full-time person based upon these qualifications teach the class. A part-timer gets the percentage ratio just like the full-time. As a full-timer, you guys talk about this pay differential. I teach overload or have done summers for decades or whatever. I, as a full-time person, get paid less during the summer because I get paid under Schedule C like with you guys. I'm not complaining because I have a full-time gig with it, but that disparity is the problem.
Yeah.
And that is where we get that two-tiered system. And so that's the attack, just like Keith, just as, I'm sorry, one other thing, and that is, remember I talked about how I kind of got screwed in the 1 year sabbaticals versus the 3-year period?
Yes.
That was based upon the old tenure laws, which is 3rd year tenure. When the state of California moved tenure from 3 to 5, they never updated that rule. That's got to be changed in California, because if they update that gives part-time faculty more opportunities to teach sabbatical fill-ins at full pay.
That's a good point. Yeah, thank you, Mark. Yeah. That is a legislative solution that we need to tackle. Yeah.
I'm asking for our hourly rate for getting paid for office hours.
Yeah. So what you get paid to teach hourly, you get paid in office hours. That's
I would also like that for our meetings.
Yeah, 35.
It's 35. It went up $5, but I would like to get what we make our base pay. Yeah.
Yeah, can we get 18 hours a week?
1 hour a week?
Yeah, 1 hour a week.
What we tried to say.
The one was oddball hours.
Yeah. Well, and they've got so much more money in the budget now for it, right? After this first semester, we're going to ask them for a report of it, and we're going to ask for the hours to increase, just straight out. But it's ridiculous.
Another thing, especially with the longevity that's in this room, I know I'm capped out. I'm sure you are. How many steps would you like us to hopefully get? Should we shoot for 10 or 15?
Yeah, so there's only 7 steps. Doesn't take very long to get to the bottom one.
I need more understanding of the whole steps thing, but with me, I like the 3-year thing, and then we get some slight security, but I wish it would just keep. I guess what I'm saying is I'm not really expecting tenure, but I wish there was ways we could creep up into a full-time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A little, like.
Okay, so path to full-time.
We discussed too, when we worked together in the library, was we're capped at 3 classes, and we're not necessarily needing maybe benefits or anything, which would be nice, but we want more teaching responsibility. They always say getting a full-time tenure track is like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
We did the math on it a couple of years ago. This is before COVID. So is the district likes to say, oh, well, more than half of our new hires are from our part-time ranks. And that's true. And we've actually gotten better. It's more like 67% of our full-time hires used to be our part-timers. But in order to get into that 50% bracket, the average person is teaching 5.5 years, so 11 semesters, for a 3% shot at one of those jobs.
Yeah.
So that is lotto numbers.
I guess my little lawyer brain has a little problem with the person having to reapply for a job.
Mm-hmm. Well, that'll never change. Sorry. Yeah, that will never change.
Yeah.
For our people online, if you have feedback that you would like us to fight for in the next contract, just go ahead and let us know. Go unmic yourself and.
So
I have a question for clarification.
Sure.
Sure, this is Louisa Bransford. Currently, are office hours included when we're teaching part-time? I need clarification about that topic because it was a little convoluted for me.
Yes, they are included. It's based on how many units you're carrying. So how many LHE? What's your unit load this semester?
Oh, this semester, I'm getting pretty close to overload because I teach in the Allied Health Division. And I'm 100% online, and I teach a lot of the dual enrollment courses.
Okay, so that's 14 hours per semester.
And so that's included in what I'm getting paid. So in other words, there's no need for me now to apply.
No, not included. You have to apply through your dean. There's a form that's been sent out. You have to apply and make your case and then get approved and then keep track of your hours. It's not included.
Okay, yeah, because that I didn't, this last year, I didn't do that.
Yeah, last year you wouldn't have had the option. They didn't pay us for office hours last year.
Right.
That's right.
Let's see, Louisa has a question. Are we able to decline an evaluator evaluating us?
No.
I think we can pick, though.
Well, no,
At
you
least-
can't. No, you can't.
Things are different in my.
My next question is, so you can have
Well-
the same evaluator twice?
You can. And let me pause on Luisa's question though. So there is a way to be able to decline an evaluator. And that is if you have a legitimate complaint against them. Now, the way that you would navigate that is reaching out to Paul Gilmore, who's your member rights vice president, or to me or to Bernadette, and let us help you with that. But you can have the same evaluator twice, and management does have the right to assign who does that for you.
And that's once every 3 years.
Once you're past your comparable load, or actually once you're past your first 3 semesters, it's every 6 semesters after that. It could be more, like let's say that, a student complains or something like that, right? You could be evaluated then. Or you just get a new zealous dean who wants to overwork themselves. So a couple of years ago, we had a new dean in my division who said, I want to personally evaluate everyone, which was nuts. And we told her, are you sure you want to take that workload on? And she said, no, I really feel like I should do that. It's like she did 86 evaluations in one semester.
Wow.
Was that the previous?
Crazy.
One?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
Did she do anything else that semester?
Not sure. Anyway.
For Aaron, the question about student loans, just email me and we can talk.
We'll have a workshop on that too in September. So
Yeah.
that's.
So we gotta get it done fast, because you said it will be changing in October, right?
Yeah, everything's snapping back in October. What's that?
Participate in the graduation ceremony. So it's never been.
Oh, participation in graduation. That's, write that one down.
That's why I thought we don't need the adjuncts, but we're 50%. Do they have enough people to represent that during that?
Yeah, well, again.
Us stadium, there should be enough room for everyone if they want to attend.
Well, again, you teach 50%, 55% of the classes. So 55% of the students have had at least one of your classes, if not several. Yeah, other things. So what else would you like to see in the next contract?
Dream big.
Bernadette, you're gonna message the waiting room participants.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm just wondering if maybe even that is like asking for too little, right? I mean, if the full-time faculty get 5 hours a week, right? Then that's 1 hour per class that they have. So why wouldn't we have, if we teach 3 classes, you get 3 hours a week? Well, yeah, I think that's a great idea. And why wouldn't we have 3 hours per week for office hours?
Mhm.
Why wouldn't we have all our pay for everything that we do the same?
So what we asked for was proportion to load. So if you're teaching 3 classes, you get 2 hours a week.
Yeah.
Because that's what a full-timer gets.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah, that's our pie in the sky.
So yeah, put that up there.
Okay.
For every class, you have to give the office hours.
Yeah.
And the pay for the office hours is ridiculous. We get it at the end of the year. I mean,
I would like that monthly as well.
Huh?
I would like that monthly as well. If we work that month, we should be able to get paid that
yeah.
for that chunk of a time. Because it is rather confusing.
I don't know, I object to your word chunk.
It's more of a chunk at the end.
Yes.
My question is, it is so difficult. I don't know if anyone else has this issue, but when I review my pay stub and, we're supposed to get additional pay for, whatever reason, like, our pay was reevaluated and we're supposed to see that additional pay, or if I'm supposed to be paid for my office hours at the end, I'd like to see a standard of coding that we could understand that we are being paid for those things, because it's difficult. And like attending, for example, all of these virtual, courses today, I can't tell if I'm being paid for this on my pay stub.
Yeah, put it in English.
It has become a little bit more clear I don't know if you looked at your actual pay stubs, but in the last couple months, it has become a little bit more clear where they say summer school.
There's a stipend button.
Yeah, stipend. And obviously, since our pay rate is very different, you should be able to see for professional development compared to your hourly wage.
Yeah, it has, we complained about that a couple of years ago and it finally did start to get better, but it's still more confusing than it needs to be. I think that's one of the things that we're going to tackle, weirdly enough. We're going to tackle that in the power dynamics workshop, because how can you advocate for yourself if you don't know, right?
I had a crazy, I hate to tell my story, but I had a really crazy spring of not, all my paychecks were all messed up. So I did a lot of subbing and I ended up getting classes at the last minute, like the Sunday before school started.
Yeah.
And my first paycheck, like it was so small, considering I had a full load at that point. And so it went on and then they overpaid me one time and then they took it out the next. So honestly, at some point I was just like, I don't even know anymore.
Yeah. Well, and it was, so when those things happen, right? So it's really, really crucial that you remember none of what happens to you just happens to you.
Right.
There is no one of us who is being, unilaterally targeted by the administration. If it's happening to you, it's happening to other people. But if you don't tell us, we have no way to know to advocate for you. So it's really important that you let us know.
So this is an issue. We need to have the pay stubs understandable for us to make sure that we are being reimbursed for what we're doing. And so that's another bucket, another item to put to your list.
Okay. Yeah, we've got a good list here. So we have 3 minutes to go, right? Any other last? Yeah, Alex.
Part-time participation evaluation process.
Okay. So the ability for part-timers to evaluate part-timers
and full-timers.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Send the table mentor.
Interesting.
Everybody's got to revamp their stuff.
I'm not sure what the logistics behind this is.
Let's be segregated all the way around.
To a comment that was made earlier about part-time faculty attending department meetings, that's not an issue for my department. But would that be something to kind of consider? Because I mean, if they're part of that department, even if they are part-time faculty,
right,
why exclude them?
So you're making a perfect point. I think one of the terminology that Mark used earlier when he said we have a two-tier system, one of the things we need to think about is how do we change it to a single-tier system? And that single-tier system would include things like participatory governance, right? The ability to sit in department meetings and have a vote and be paid to be there at your normal rate.
Especially if that is your goal, is to become a full-timer, you want to make your vita or your resume look as robust as possible. And it's really difficult to do that if you're not getting paid to attend these meetings.
And that's part of the thing I was trying to say earlier. I didn't get it. But the part-timers that doesn't say they do get to go to all the meetings and stuff like that. If they want to, they get invited. We don't even get invited.
I think
we can go.
So the Fresno State, it's department by department.
Yeah.
It really is, because
feel that here too.
I did for a couple of years and I didn't after that.
Well, I don't know if we're actually invited.
What?
I
did for a while and I didn't.
We're basically out of time. I want to thank everybody for coming. If you have questions, let us know.
Make sure you signed in.
I will put the membership link.
And then the other thing too, remember the chat is going to be saved. So if you didn't get your question answered, we will circle back by email. And Bern and I put our contact information in the chat. So if for some odd reason your question gets missed, please reach out to us. So
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.